friends, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back into the studio. Today we are going to begin a very deep dive into Kristy Rice's newest line of art products. So let me make a couple of disclaimers and get a couple of things out of the way in the very beginning of the video. Kristy Rice so graciously, in all of her kindness, sent what is known as a press release box to the studio so that I would be able to use, test, and review her newest line of art products with my thrifty audience. So for that, we are so humbly and graciously thankful to Kristy. It is so wonderful to see someone with such a large platform supporting the studio, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am for that. With that being said, throughout reviewing, using, and testing these products, I still promise to remain humbly honest 100% about what I feel the paints and the products have to offer as far as quality versus price, and keeping in mind that I do all of that within my own painting style, hoping that my opinion will help someone along the way make a decision on whether they want to add a product to their art collection. Now, with that said, this particular review is actually going to be broken up into a series of videos because there are so many products to get through. Now, I was blown away about the amount of products. I am going to go through and show you guys what we will be looking at throughout this series of videos, and it will be as many videos as I need to do until I'm done with it. Now, no, it won't consume all of the videos on the channel, but I will be trying to release at least one a week until I get everything that was graciously sent to the studio covered. I feel like I owe it that much, you know. So what we're going to do now is actually start with looking at the things that came in the box that Kristy so graciously sent. Oh, bless her heart, man. It is so much, guys. I'm actually a little overwhelmed as I make this video. But again, we're going to keep a level head, and we are going to objectively look at the products and review them. This first video will start with us jumping directly into, using certain products. But first, again, let's look at what came in the box. The box is beautifully designed. There will be pictures popping up on the screen showing you guys the way the box came, the inside of the box, how everything was positioned. Unfortunately, it's too big to get on the screen, you know, with my current camera setup. So we're having to just make a few provisions to show you guys how the box itself came. With that being said, inside the box, there's wording and hellos and greetings and QR codes. If I'm not mistaken, all the products are going to have a QR code, which leads you to some type of class, some type of video or instructional on how to do something, some type of how-to. So I think that's a really great added perk to all of the products for a customer when they purchase it. Now, the inside of the box did have this particular flyer on the different things that were in the box, but I did notice that this box also includes her new stamp set. So again, let's just take a real quick look, and then we'll move directly into what this particular video will be concentrating on. So first of all, it includes all of the empty palettes that came out in her new line. Every single one of them, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. I'm trying to find the other one. Here it is. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It came with the strawberries, the dahlias, anemones, hellebores, and the botanicals. All of them empty, including the half pan. So there's 3 24 half pan palettes. one 48 half pan palette, and one 12 half pan palette. Of course, you can interchange those with full pans. We will be looking at these in a separate video. Of course, if you've followed the one and only live I've ever done on YouTube, then you saw me unbox this particular palette, which happens to be the Botanical, because I purchased this separately with my own money before I received this particular box of goodies from Kristy. So I already have experience with what the palettes are like. But again, we will get to reviewing the actual palettes in a completely different video. Let's move on and see what else came in the actual box here. Okay. Oh. Next up, the box came with all of the latest brushes that Kristy offered. It came with the Fear Has No Place Here, Forget Rules, Forget Right, Remember Joy, and it came with the actual Joy Chaser brush, which I've opened up a little bit already here. I'm just gonna put it, I was kind of excited about that one. So we have two brush sets. Again, we're gonna be looking at the brushes. We're going to be using the brushes throughout all of the videos, but the brushes will have their own review video. Or maybe they will be included in the review video with the paints. I have not quite figured out how I'm going to do the brushes just yet. With that being said, let me also go ahead and show the collapsible painter's pot. Now, this is a two-well painter's pot that you put water in. One side for rinsing your brush, the other side for getting clean water. It's collapsible to completely collapsible to lay flat for traveling, or it adjusts to different levels. We are going to be looking at all of those. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to mix those reviews in. I really am. So just really quickly, now the brush sets are very beautiful. I'm just going to show them to you. We will go into detail about them in their own individual video. Just want to get through this real quick. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous brushes. And then you have the travel brush, which is called the Joy Chaser. It's rose gold. Beautiful. All right. And like I said, those will be integrated into a lot of videos. Next in there was the new swatching stamps, and this one isn't listed here, so I think this was maybe an additional gift, which again, Kristy, thank you so very much, humbly from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. I think this is really neat. Now this is going to get its own thorough video. I really want to go into it, but I am going to be using it in today's video as well, but it will have its own unboxing and review in a separate video. I want to try to do each product justice. I want to try to keep these videos concentrating on the business and the products and trying to separate that from the actual content personality or influencer. Although I do understand that as a small business, they're both intertwined, but for the sake of offering a comprehensive review on each product, I want to try to make sure that I separate the two as I go throughout talking, using, and testing these products. Now, I'm gonna open this soon. We're gonna do an unboxing on it as well. And then of course, the last thing in the box, but definitely not the least, is the actual Art for Joy's Sake palette, which is what we are going to be unboxing, swatching, and doing an initial painting demo with today. And then of course they will have their own separate review video as well. Everything else, when it gets unboxed, is going to be reviewed in the actual same video. This is going to be the only one that has an unboxing that's separate from the actual review. Or maybe it'll end up being in this video at the very end, depending on how many days I take to make this. So here we have the Art for Joy's Sake palette. The front of the box has Paint Crush, Artful Living with Kristy Rice, set of 12 solid pigments in a limited edition 10. The side says light fastness notes. Our palette includes 2 pigments of a lower light fast rating. We recommend protecting any artwork from extended exposure to direct sunlight. Artwork can also be sprayed with UV spray or framed under UV glass. As a best practice, regardless of light fastness rating, we recommend protecting all art from direct UV exposure. That is excellent advice. Number 1 and number 2 is pretty cool that they do go ahead and let you know up front that the palette includes 2 pigments of a lower light fastness rating. Doesn't say what 2 they are, but I guess we'll get to that information shortly. Let me see, the other side says, warning, choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 12. This palette is not a toy, conforms to ASTM 4236. Made in China, non-toxic, so the products and the paints are made in China. Going on around, I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing I wanted to do. Georgia O'Keeffe. The Art for Joy's Sake brush collection also available, sold separately. So they are doing some advertisement for one of the brush collections, which I believe is the beginner one. Yeah, I think that's the one that the pamphlet said is for beginners, but we'll talk about that when we actually get to the brushes. Pigments used to formulate the colors in this palette. So here is a list of pigments for the paints, but it's just a list of the pigments. It does not tell you what paint has what pigment in it. So I guess I'm going to try to have to make my best educated guess on what pigments are in what paints. Vegan friendly, pigments based, no fillers. Okay, so there's a bold advertisement. It says that there are no fillers in the paint, that the paints are all pigment based, meaning that I guess that they're just pigment and binder. Again, here are the pigment numbers with no distinction as to what colors they actually make up. Okay, that is all of the sides. The very back of the box, let's see, there's a QR code here I'm going to cover. My name is Kristy Rice, and I believe in the power that art making holds to bring joy into our lives quickly. My approach to painting is one that ensures that stress is not part of the experience. I just want you to have an amazing time splashing some color around. So that's kind of her motto, joy, paint, painting for joy's sake, having fun, not really being bogged down by any rules. So that's completely in line with what I know her branding to be. The Art for Joy's Sake palette features 12 uncommon pigments, perfect to kickstart your colorful creative journey. These are the new classics meant to add a little zing to your watercolor collection. 12 vibrant, never chalky, high pigmented, non-toxic pigments developed by a joy-driven, watercolor-obsessed painter. There you have it. Again, being upfront on the box about some of the different things concerning the paints. She does say that they have 12 uncommon pigments inside the palette. They do say the colors are vibrant, never chalky, which of course they wouldn't be, considering the fact that the opposite side of the box said that there were no fillers, high pigmented, no toxic pigments. So we're going to be doing some testing, really getting deep down into the paints, testing them out on the different things that we normally do with each and every palette that goes through testing here in the studio, and we will see what we think on the opposite end. Now, again, the branding that Kristy has across her products is absolutely amazing. Everything is so beautifully packaged, and everything has beautiful artwork and illustration, and we know that it's all her work. So I just think that it's absolutely brilliant and amazing branding. We have all of her social sites here. There's going to be a QR code on the back of this one. You can scan a QR code to access a 1 hour "Let me show you how these pigments will rock your world" lesson. So you can access a 1 hour lesson with the QR code on the back of the palette. So again, that's what I was stating earlier about each product seems to come with some type of class or how to a lesson linked to it, which I think is really, really cool. Visit artforjoysake.com or scan the code to join the community, and be sure to carve out some time to paint with me. So there you have that. That is all of the information on the box. Now, it does not give any light fast ratings as of yet. It does give a list of pigments, but it does not tell you what paints those pigments make up. Let's pop open the palette and see what we have here. Making Art for Joy's Sake. This is a beautiful palette. But I really didn't expect anything less. Once we get to talking about the actual palettes that came, yeah, this is gonna be pretty cool. Love the hinge. It has the ring on the bottom for plein air painting. There is the Paint Crush logo. Again, her branding is very consistent throughout the products. It latches pretty well there. Don't seem to be any issues with that. There are 3 mixing wells on the top. This seems to be the standard, or what you would expect from a standard 12 half pan, 6 full pan 10. The difference is that this one seems to be really nicely designed. The edges are rolled. Nothing seems to be sharp. That additional mixing area lays flush. So you won't have to worry about paint running. I think that's really, really cool. Let's see here. We have 12 half pans and a tray that is accented with rose gold. That is really aesthetically very pleasing, very pleasing. And then of course your additional mixing in the bottom of the tin, as is the case with most of them. This one is just much nicer. Just much nicer. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So we are looking at 12 full domed over half pans. It seems to be machine cut paint. They do seem very bright and vibrant right off. I can kind of look at them and guesstimate a color that they should be representing. So I will definitely be keeping that in mind. There's a brochure included. Paint Crush Swatching. Swatch your new pigments in an exploration. Swatching your new pigments is an exploration. So paint outside the lines, abandon those tiny squares of color, and really experience the beginning of your watercolor adventure. Now, this is a swatch sheet. It seems to be watercolor paper. It's sort of thin, and the back side has much less texture. It seems to be rather smooth on the back side. I wonder if that's a mixed media paper or watercolor paper, but either way, it's definitely a water soluble paper. There is a swatch chart here, which gives you the name for each color. Now, these colors have really cute, whimsical names. They are not your standard names. So as I do my swatch sheet, I am going to kind of guesstimate as to what standard color I think it is. Now, I'm noticing that the pigment isn't beside that information. Okay. There's a place here, test your colors here for you to swatch. And it's already labeled for each one. Let's see. That's the same QR code from the back of the box. all of the same branding information here. You do you here, create your own unique swatches. So on the smoother side, there's a place for you to create your own unique swatches, and then there's a place that allows you to try some different swatch suggestions that she has made in order to make swatching a little bit more fun, a little bit less traditional, maybe a little bit less routine. So that'll be really cool. Get that closed on up, so, and we'll tuck that inside the box. So here's what I want to do at this point. I've already opened the brush set that has Forget Rules, Forget Right, Remember Joy. This particular brush set, according to the paper that came in, and let's talk about what we're using in this video. So we're using the Art for Joy's Sake brush set, which features 6 different styles of brushes for varying stroke styles: flat wash, dagger, cat tongue, round, and a liner. Inspirational art mantras on each handle. Comes in a canvas art bag for easy transport. Synthetic bristles are designed to hold lots of water. Brushes are suitable for water, acrylic, and oil painting, or watercolor pencils. So these are basically all media brushes versus being just specifically a watercolor brush. And indicated by the golden Teflon bristles, which are a much stiffer bristle than like a synthetic squirrel or a sable or any of your real brushes. There are sharp ergonomic handles that ensure a no-slip grip, designed with beginners in mind, but will enhance an advanced painter's experience, designed to be all you need to paint successfully. And they have these really cute little sayings on each one of them. You're gonna have Forget Rules on the half dagger, Happy Painting on the number 2 round, Unshakable Joy on the, 3/4 inch wash, which is 3/4 inch flat there. Remember Joy on the number 1 round. My eyesight is so bad I don't have my glasses on. Art for Joy's Sake on the 1/4 inch dagger. And we have Watercolor Curious on the number 1 cat's tongue. And a cat's tongue and daggers are rapidly becoming my favorite brushes, so I'm really excited. We do have the golden Teflon bristles. I'm going to have to wash out the sizing on them. So those are going to be the first brush set that we're using to swatch and do the first painting demo with these paints. And then we're using the Making Art for Joy's Sake palette, which features 12 carefully selected non-toxic watercolors, solid watercolor pigments made with high-quality gum Arabic, over 30 cubic inches of color mixing space, a compact design making it perfect for travel. It's beginner friendly but professional quality with every brush stroke. So there is the disclaimer that the paints are of a professional quality. Removable paint tray, which we saw earlier, which creates even more mixing space. And watercolor pens can be removed, reorganized, and refilled or replaced. If you want to put something else in the palette, that's always an option as well. So there is our unboxing, what we're going to be using in this video, other than the actual swatching stamps. Now, I'm going to have a separate review video for these, although we will be using them in this video. So I'm going to grab some watercolor paper, and we are going to get started on swatching these. As we move into the swatching section of this video and color mixing, I'm going to show you, I've already taken the collapsible painter's pot out and filled both sides with water. I've added the really cute kind of medallion that comes in. It's so whimsical and cute. Look at that. And we're going to be taking a closer look at this when I actually do the review on the painter's pot itself. I've pulled out some 100% cotton watercolor paper. This is Artwell. As you guys know, I do like the Artwell 100% cotton paper. I actually used it in some of my latest journals. I have taken time out to wash the sizing, if any, out of the brushes, and giving them time to dry so that I can be painting with that set. And I guess I need to go ahead and unbox the swatching stamp set, simply because I am going to be using that throughout the swatching section. So let's run through this really quickly, let you guys take a look at what's in the box. So this is Paint Crush Artful Living with Kristy Rice. Oh, once again, branding, being very in your face. Really love that. Love the boldness of all of the clip art that is drawn onto the box. I think it's very pleasing aesthetically, as I've said before. I mean, I really love the fact that you know her products when you see them. Now, there are some pictures depicting the stamps that are included in the set. It says Swatching Stamps, set of 16 stamps for joyful painting swatching. Now, disclaimer, I am going to be using these to swatch a lot, but I'm also going to cross this set over into my crafting, because I want to use it to make cards and to make some journals with as well. So stay tuned for some of that, because I do believe before I get to reviewing this set, I'm also going to do a card creation video for the card creation series. And I'm also going to do a create a journal or a sketchbook, one or the other, for the Crafty Corner series with these before I actually review them, other than using them in painting. So flipping the box over on the back, covering the QR code. I was quick that time. My name is Kristy Rice, and I believe that watercolor has the power to make our lives richer with joy. I'm not sure if that's exactly what the back of the box, the painting, let me see. Yes, I do believe that opening line is the same. Exploring our new art supplies through swatching can be a deeply relaxing experience, and also a step beyond simply documenting paint to creating energizing compositions with shape and color. May your watercolor journey find new paths as you explore this set. It gives a website for you to visit, scan a QR code, explore the line of joyful art supplies, and be sure to carve out some time to paint. Once again, more branding, showing the products, showing the social medias, links and icons, and then of course another depiction of the enclosed stamps and the QR code, scan QR code to learn how to use the stamps to swatch your collection in watercolor paints. So there we have it again, a video linked to the product that's giving you more than, in my opinion, what you pay for, because you're getting some personalized instructions and a really cute picture of Kristy. Again, love the branding. Popping over the box, open the box. Inside we have watercolor resistant ink. This is a black ink pad, so we're going to be giving that a try. We have an acrylic block to put our stamps on. Really cute. Love the elongated rectangle shape. I don't have one shaped like that. Next up, we have the first set of swatching stamps here. We have, looks like swatching blocks. Here's one with name, brand, and pigment number. There's a tube with paint splattering out of it. Looks to be blueberries. A household paintbrush, again with some splatter paint there. That looks to be tape. I'm gonna assume that that's like masking tape, or maybe even washi tape, which again crosses over into crafting. And then a mason's jar. Who doesn't love a cute stamp of a mason's jar? What a really cute way to swatch. And you could possibly write all of the information like the name, brand, and pigment number on the little tag. So don't swatch that section. That will be something cute. Up next is we have kind of, not so perfect circles. I kind of like that. Almost look like the infinity sign. Then we have what a light fastening stamp here. We have what looks to be a brush pen maybe. And that would be a cat's tongue, and then a dagger. So ironic, two of my two brushes that I'm rapidly loving more and more. And then we have some other like the little notebook flip, the individual name, brand, and pigment number stamp, so you can combine it with the ones that don't necessarily say it like this one does, which is really cool. So a lot of, assuming the G is for granulation, the S is probably for staining. So yeah, transparency rating. So that is all that's included in the box. Really, really, really nice stamp set. I do believe they look to be of great quality. Let's see if they have the sweet smell. Not quite, but they do seem to be of real good quality based on what I know about clear stamps. And as you guys know, I have a boatload of them. So we're going to be using those. Let's go ahead and crack this open so we can get started with the swatching. Now, the actual swatching is going to be time-lapsed. I don't want the video to be too long, but of course, as with any other video, it will not move so fast that you will not be able to tell what's going on. And right off the bat, I'm just going to use the most simple of the swatching stamps to put in the 12 swatches. And then I'm probably going to use this one for the color mixing, for doing my 3 color wheels. I think that'll be really unique to do the color wheels with this. So let's get a crack-a-lack in here. So as I start off here with the swatching, I'm removing the swatching stamps from the set, putting it on the acrylic block, and then I'm going to be using the permanent black ink pad to kind of create a swatching sheet here. I wanted it to be kind of whimsical, different from the ones I normally do. So I'm just going to create a page. I'm going to use the circles to create sort of a color wheel in order to do a little mixing in. It won't be much mixing on this particular page. I'm actually going to take time to sit down after this video and really do a lot of color mixing with this palette to see what different shades and what different tones I can come up with. And I have high hopes. I have high hopes. So I'm just going to take time to stamp out everything here. I'm trying to keep them lined up the best I can. But then the more I stamped, the more I thought to myself that this was supposed to be a whimsical stamping page. So even if they were a little out of line or not necessarily in a row, it would more than likely add to the whimsical feel. And I'm starting to put all of my swatch sheets back into the original swatch binder that I was using, mainly because I've finally run out of pages in the color diary that I had. And I was thinking about ordering another one, and then this stamp set showed up. So I'm thinking to myself now, instead of ordering another color diary, I will literally make these whimsical swatching pages for each watercolor set that I test and review moving forward. And it's a lot of this was a lot of fun. Just the entire stamping process was a lot of fun. Now, it's my intentions to use these stamps in some crafting videos. I'm definitely going to use the stamps in a card creation video, the new series that released on the channel this year. I know there haven't been many of those videos that have gone up, maybe 2 at this point, but I am going to start working on a 3rd card creation video, and I plan on using this stamp set in that video just to show the versatility of it, to show that it does not just have to be used on the art side of things. It can also be used on the craft side of things. So at this point, what I'm doing is I'm wetting each of the pans of paint. I'm putting them in a really watery wash, and that's going to be my first layer. I am a layered painter, so I have to, or not I have to, but when I am swatching, I always swatch a watery layer, a second glazing layer, and then a 3rd mass tone layer, so that I can see the difference in saturation as you lessen the water and increase the pigment in your water to paint ratio for washes. And it helps me get a really good idea of how opaque a paint can be, how much it'll layer, how many layers you may get before it starts to lift. And keep in mind that all of those things do add into whether or not a paint is considered student grade or professional. Now, I am reserving all opinions about this palette until the review. So I will reiterate, this is not a review video. It's not meant to be a review video. It's meant to be a first look at the palette, at one of the brush sets, at the paint pot, and at the stamping set. Now, some of the other things that came in the box from Kristy will have different videos, and ultimately they all will be reviewed. So you guys just be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. I don't want you to miss any of the content surrounding anything that came in this box, because I really feel like a lot of these products are going to be amazing. Now, it will happen that I might not necessarily like every single thing. I'm hoping I do. But right now, I'm really optimistic about this venture of these products as I go into this entire testing phase. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to cut out. I'm going to let some music kick in at this point, and it'll play throughout the rest of the swatching and the testing, which will include a little color wheel, mixing a gray, testing for granulation forced by salt, doing a salt test. And then we will jump back in, or I'll jump back in, should I say, after the swatching to talk about it just for a second. And from that point, we will move on to the actual painting demo for today. Okay, honestly, my friends, that didn't go too bad at all. We got a chance to get all of the swatching done. I did put down black line to test opacity. Now, for those who are not familiar with the way I swatch, when swatching, I go ahead and do all of my preliminary testing for a paint palette. That includes swatching in 3 different layers because I am a layered painter. So I need to see the type of saturation the paints will offer as they're glazed on top of each other. I'm testing opacity with that glazing because I want to see how opaque they become the more I glaze, or whether they'll stay transparent and allow me to see the previous layers through. I'm testing color mixing of the primaries. Now, in most cases, I do a cool, warm, and split primary mixing. I will go ahead and say that, you know, this is a uncommon palette of colors for me. Now, I'm going to keep all my thoughts and opinions on any of the performance and all of those things for the review video. This is just an unboxing, swatching, and preliminary painting demo. Now, I already know that I'm going to get a second painting demo done a few days after the taping of this video. Although this video won't come out till much later in March, the second field test is actually going to happen on a live March 2nd. And this video is being released the 12th of March, if I'm not mistaken. So there's going to be some back and forth going on as I test the paints. But later on, we will eventually get to an in-depth, thorough review of them. As I was saying, I did a color wheel here to see what primaries I could possibly pull to get some color mixing done. I did do the normal gray test, did some salt testing, wrote down the name of each color, wrote down the branding, just got my entire swatch sheet together so that I can move further with testing the paints. Now, at this point, what I want to do is a preliminary painting demo with them. So I'm going to be switching over now. Here we did the swatching and all of the initial testing on 100% cotton paper. I'm going to actually be switching over to Strathmore 400 series cellulose paper for the painting demo because I do want to test them on a acid-free student grade paper. Now, Strathmore, in my opinion, is a really good brand of paper, especially their 400 and 500 series. Now, their 500 series is 100% cotton. The 400 series is just below that. You know, I do understand that there are going to be some people out there who do not like Strathmore. I get it. It's okay. We all have some different things that we like. You don't, you know, it is what it is. I happen to like this paper. Now, this is a 9x12 block. So I did not have to take anything down. Now, what I did was I drew 2 shapes on the front of my paper, and this is going to encompass 3 paintings. I'll do one big painting in the background, a different painting in the circle, and a different painting in the half circle here. So just to keep today's video time conscious, I'm probably going to be painting in one of the smaller circles, and then I'll work the other 2 compositions out off camera just to get some more testing of the paints done. Or maybe one of these will be the second thing painted on here, but the first thing you see because I do it in the live. I know, sounds a little confusing, but it'll all work out eventually. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into doing a demo with these. And then we'll come back and we'll wrap this video up. I know I said earlier in the video that this one could possibly contain the review for these paints, but that's not going to be the case. I really want to take time to thoroughly use these paints on a very regular basis. And then I'm going to probably get a review put together and hopefully up sometimes, you know, towards the middle of March, going towards the end part of March. So yeah, coming soon. For now, let's jump into the demo. So the composition that we're doing for the demo painting today is actually a exercise. It's an ink and wash exercise that I picked up from one of my mentors. Did it years ago, taught it on a video, and I've been using it here and there to kind of help me break out of my element and just, charge right in and be a little bit freer when I'm painting. So instead of using pencils, this exercise has you charge right in with your pen to draw, embrace what happens. Don't worry about mistakes, but to just go with the flow. And I kind of thought that was a great idea, considering that this palette itself is made to paint for the sake of joy, not necessarily worrying about a bunch of rules, but more so simply painting to enjoy the process. So I embrace this exercise, and that's what I'm doing. Now, this demo is of some birch trees, and I'm using Creative Mark Super Black Fine Liners. It comes in a different variety of tips or nibs, that's what you want to call them, so that you can get thinner, lighter line weight up to thicker, heavier line weight. And I think I'm using like a 0.35 or maybe a 0.40 in order to kind of draw in the birch trees, because that's what these are. But because it's a whimsical painting, they're going to be colored birch trees. They're going to have almost a rainbow essence to them, because I really wanted to see how these colors were going to work together, blend together, whether they were going to make mud, whether they want to stay transparent, how opaque they were going to get. So there was a lot of things that I felt like doing this particular composition would help me see about this palette. On top of the fact that if you've been following my channel for any amount of time, you know that I have this fantasy land that I paint all the time called Whimsyville. Who knows, maybe it'll become an actual book or story one day. But every now and then I'll paint scenes, quote unquote scenes, from Whimsyville. I've done full videos over on Patreon, kind of doing a painting around that thing. So that's what I'm doing here. This is going to be a dense, compact sort of forest scene, with some birch trees in the foreground kind of jumping out at you, and all different types of rainbow colors. Now, I'm putting in a lot of the detail with the actual pen. That's a lot. That's the point of the exercise. Keeping in mind it is ink and wash, and I'm not really worrying about details. So at this point, what I've done is kind of looked at a couple of different reference photos of birch trees, since that's the subject that I'm painting based on the exercise that I'm doing. And then I close down the pictures, and I'm trying to draw things that I remember seeing. Which helps, in my opinion, to make it more whimsical, because I'm not looking at the actual reference photo, kind of trying to draw or emulate it. More so, I have the reference photos stored in my head, and I'm trying to remember. I think it's a great exercise to go side by side with the actual ink and wash exercise that I'm doing. So, yeah, I'm putting in all of the little papery textures that you will find on birch trees. I'm trying to draw in where some of the bark would be peeling away from the trunk of the tree, putting in the little divots and striations and cuts that you would see in a birch tree. When I drew on the branches, I made sure to kind of just start at different areas of the trunk and draw outwards with them. I kept those branches in sort of a Y shape, pointing upwards, just to kind of try to pull together what I remember seeing. And once it was all said and done, I was kind of happy with the illustration. I went back in with a thicker nib. Now, I told you guys I used like a 0.35 or a 0.4 to start actually drawing out the composition. So the trunk itself was done with that line weight. Then for the actual details on the trunk, I went in with like a 0.2, 0.25. When I decided I wanted to add some darker area, I went in with a 0.35 just so I could get some thicker line weight in there, some heavier detail. Now, this is not like quote unquote professional ink and wash. I mean, I don't have an enormous amount of experience, but I do have enough, I believe, in order to be able to relay what it is I'm trying to relate to you guys. Now, here, I just went in and charged in with color. I knew I wanted it to be really, really just I don't know, kind of out there as far as a birch tree is concerned. And again, I am basing this on the exercise that I remember. So I'm going in with red, and the red in this set, if I'm not mistaken, is called Flame. No, it's called Fierce. I'm sorry. So I'm using Fierce. I'm mixing Fierce with Sweet, which is sort of like this peachy opaque color. Now, I'll be honest, you can tell that that color has white in it. I paid attention to the side of the box, and I saw that one of the pigments listed is PW6, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm willing to believe that the sweet color does have PW6 mixed into it. I think the same thing about the calm color, and I think the same thing about the blossom color. All three of those are sort of muted colors. They actually mix to make really beautiful creamy shades, if that makes any sense. So the one that I'm using in all of these mixtures is the actual sweet color. It's more of a peachy, creamy, a little bit more opaque than some of the other colors in the palette. But nonetheless, it mixed really well. And as you can see, these colors are really pretty. They're soft. Offhand, just right off the top of my head, they remind me of Lucas. They remind me of the way Lucas dries down to that really soft feel. You still can see the color. It's still saturated, but it dries to a really soft kind of overall effect. And I actually, did not dislike that about the Lucas. I think that is really different from the punchy colors that I normally paint with. And I also believe that adding that sweet into the mixture of the colors that I was doing also helped with that soft feel once they started to dry down. I did a lot of mixing on the paper with this. So you'll see that although I'm mixing some on the palette, I am just kind of grabbing color directly from the pan, mixing it out with a little water, and then dropping it into the trunk of the tree and just kind of letting those colors mix. I also use the Growth. Now, Growth is more of a, it's the green. Is it Growth? No, I'm sorry. I use Thrive. I use the Thrive color. Now, the Thrive is sort of like a goldy, greeny, yellowy. It's a beautiful color. It's transparent. It's a really beautiful color. And I use that to mix with Tinned, which is the basically PG7. It's really phthalo green. I mixed those two together and they gave me a really beautiful sort of sap greeny color. That's what I want to be using to put in like the leaves in the background. And then I'll be darkening that color with a little bit of the flow, which is the phthalo blue in the set. I think that pigment number is PB15:3. And I have been able to deduce what some of the pigments are from the side of the box as to what color they are a part of. The phthalo green and the phthalo blue are really, really easy to distinguish. The Delve color, I do believe, is more like your burnt sienna. So yeah, some of the colors are easily recognizable. And at this point where I'm mixing the greens now, but I've let all those colors just kind of saturate the bark. I really love the way that the trunk of those trees came out. And at this point, I was really thinking, maybe I would change it up a little bit and just put a light blue sky in the background, kind of dab out a few clouds. And I was really contemplating it in my head, but the more I thought about it, the more I really wanted to go with the original idea of it looking like a really dense forest. So the first thing I did was mix some Tinned out on my palette in a really watery wash. Again, if you're not painting with this set, it's basically phthalo green, PG7. And I mixed it out into a watery wash. And I'm using it to kind of base in the background. I know that I'm going to be coming back with a darker saturated color and dabbing it in there to emulate leaves. So I really wasn't worried about this layer being too saturated. So at this point, I took the tin or the phthalo green because it's the green I've been using, and I mixed it with the Thrive, that yellowy, greenish, goldish color I was telling you about. And the darker you mix it, or the more tin you have in it, the more Thrive you have in it, it's going to lean more so towards olive. If you pull back on the Thrive a little bit, you'll get a more sappy green color. So I mix both an olive and a sappy green color, and I'm going back and forth and I'm dabbing those into the phthalo blue after I lay that wash down. And I'm just gonna do that in between each tree to fill in this section. Now, this actually worked to my advantage to have those trees breaking the area that I'm painting in up the way they do, because I was able to paint the sky section by section without having to worry about painting it all at one time, having it be a flat wash, having to go around a bunch of details. So I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the fact that, you know, because it's an ink and wash, the branches were done in a black permanent ink. So I was able to paint directly over the top of those branches without worrying about them moving or distorting. And once the color dry down, they'll still stand out prominent. I think that's the word I'm looking for. And yeah, it was giving me, it was definitely going in the way that I wanted it to go. For those leaves, I used that number 2 round brush, and I actually used the side of the brush as I put the leaves in. So I'm basically using the entire belly of that number 2 round, and it was just long enough to give me the indication of the leaves that I wanted. If I wanted them to be smaller, I simply tipped that brush up, held it at a 90-degree angle, and used the very, very tip of it because it comes to a really, really nice point. These are great brushes. I'm going to go ahead and say that before I ever get to doing the review of them. But these are really nice brushes. After putting in the more sap green color, then I'm going in with the more olive green color in order to add some shadow to that background to make it feel heavier, make it seem more dense, because I'm actually adding in additional leaves at this point. Keeping it heavier around the very top of my half circle and around the bottom of my half circle, hoping that that's just going to kind of draw your eye directly into the middle of the painting. And yeah, this was easy. It was easy and it was fun. I can definitely see this being a scene in my whole Whimsyville storyline at some point, or something to this effect. Now here I'm just splattering into the background all of the colors that I used. And yeah, just gonna pretty much bring it to an end. I'll see you guys on the other side. Artsy friends, here we are. We are at the end of the road for this video. I have got quite a bit done, and I must say I have enjoyed my little adventure in arts with the Art for Joy's Sake palette. Again, saving all opinions, I want to show you guys this really quick before we jump off. This is the paint water. This is the same paint water I started with. This is the same paint water I used throughout the swatching, the color mixing, and the painting demo. I just want you to kind of, I will point out that that's actually not really muddy considering all the painting I've done and the testing I've done. So that's definitely going to be something to keep in mind for the review. So hopefully you guys saw something, picked up on something, enjoyed looking at unboxing, checking out some of the products, going through the swatching, or even the painting demo. If you did, please guys, give the video a thumbs up. Keep in mind that it's not just me asking just because I want you to do it, but it really does help the channel. It helps push the video in front of new viewers. So just take 2 or 3 seconds to give the video a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. If you care to share, sharing is caring. Jump in the comment section. Let me know what you think of the video, of the products that we've looked at, of the products that we still have to get to and look at. Have you tried anything? What's your opinion so far? Keep in mind, you're going to see these products for a couple of videos, and I'm not going to give any opinion until I get to the review. So no matter what y'all say in the comments. So that's how we're going to roll with that one. Guys, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, if you're returning and you haven't, please consider hit that subscription button, notification bell, so you'll know when the new content comes out. I don't want you guys to miss anything thing with any of the remaining products or the review or other paintings that's coming up with the paint palette. So do subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you can check the video description for all of the relevant links. That's the Facebook group, Paints, Pencils, Pastel, and Markers, where we do all things artsy and crafty. All artists and crafters are welcome. It is a growing group, and people are really starting to share and post and comment and communicate. And yeah, so go check it out. You can check out the most recommended product list, which is going to give you great quality products at some economical prices. And if you choose to support the channel so that we can continue to make content of this sort, you can check out either the Patreon, great membership, a lot of perks, low price. You can check out the Etsy shop, where there are all types of art and craft products that are available. Well, not all types, but it's the stuff that I've worked on and got uploaded. And then there's also now the artist wish list based on viewer recommendation, viewer recommendation. I put together artist wish list in case you decide you want to support the channel that way. If you have any questions or any requests, you can reach out to me at Thethriftyapprentice@gmail.com, and I will respond to you as quickly as I possibly can. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.